There is a white powder that costs exactly $2. Mechanics have known about it for decades. It physically reduces the internal resistance of dead car batteries. It forces suffocated lead acid cells to accept an electrical charge again. No expensive jump-start services. No towing your car to the dealership. Just powder, warm distilled water, and a basic trickle charger. Auto parts stores charge up to $200 for a new battery. They tell you the old one is completely dead. They are hiding a basic chemical reality. This $2 powder chemically dissolves hardened sulfate deposits. It costs less than a gallon of gas. It is completely legal to use in your own garage. Why did nobody at the dealership tell you this? Because the automotive battery market is a multi-billion-dollar industry. They do not want you extending the life of your battery. Lead-acid batteries die in roughly 3 to 5 years. The industry absolutely depends on that strict replacement cycle. Your warranty expires at exactly 36 months. Your battery mysteriously fails at 40 months. This is not a manufacturing coincidence. This is a highly optimized business model. Modern vehicles are designed to constantly drain electrical power. They rely on a highly specific chemical decay process called sulfation. Every single time you turn your key and hear nothing, every time you hand a mechanic your credit card, you are participating in a carefully rigged economic system. A powder that restores a dead cell threatens their massive profits. You cannot patent a naturally occurring mineral compound. You cannot charge a monthly subscription for basic chemistry. What cannot be monetized is simply never discussed. They want you absolutely dependent on their expensive supply chain. Let me take you back to 1618. A farmer in Epsom, England, discovered a highly bitter water source. When the water evaporated, it left a pure, white powdery residue. This compound was pure magnesium sulfate. The world called it Epsom salt. For centuries, scientists studied its aggressive chemical properties. In the early days of automotive engineering, people actually maintained their equipment. Farmers and mechanics used Epsom salt to keep tractor batteries alive. They mixed this pure white compound with hot distilled water. They poured the solution directly into the dying battery cells. The chemical results stunned early electrical engineers. The magnesium sulfate aggressively lowered the internal resistance of the battery. The dead battery started accepting electrical currents once again. Off-grid enthusiasts still use this exact method today. They keep massive solar battery banks running for extra years. They use it for heavy trolling motors on fishing boats. The compound that kept early engines moving costs pennies per ounce. But the modern automotive industry looked at your dead passenger car battery, and they decided to say absolutely nothing to you. They chose absolute silence over your financial survival. Before we expose the exact chemical breakdown, listen closely. This battery secret is only one small fraction of the truth. Massive corporations are actively hiding hundreds of cheap chemical fixes. They want you entirely dependent on their fragile electrical grid. They want you permanently terrified of basic mechanical maintenance. This channel is dedicated to exposing every single one of those lies. We are currently uncovering the $5 solar panel emergency repair methods. We are filming the absolute 72-hour blackout survival protocols. We are building a massive video library of off-grid independence. These are the exact methods the massive utility companies desperately fear. Hit the subscribe button right now to secure your financial survival. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss an exposed secret. But absolutely, do not close this video. Stay right here with me. We are about to rip the automotive battery industry apart completely. What actually happens when your car battery dies? Mechanics tell you the internal plates are simply worn out. They claim the physical materials are completely exhausted. That is only a fraction of the truth. Most lead-acid batteries fail due to one single cause: extreme terminal sulfation. Your battery contains pure lead plates submerged in sulfuric acid. When the battery discharges power, a distinct chemical reaction occurs. Lead sulfate crystals form directly on the surface of the plates. When your car alternator recharges the battery, the crystals dissolve. They turn back into liquid sulfuric acid inside the plastic casing. But the modern automotive charging system never fully recharges your battery. Your car alarm and computers slowly drain the battery every single night. A microscopic layer of lead sulfate remains trapped on the metal. Every single time you park, that invisible layer gets slightly thicker. The crystals harden over 36 months of standard daily driving. They form a solid, impenetrable crust over the internal lead plates. This crust blocks the electrical current completely from flowing. The battery is simply suffocating under a thick blanket of sulfur. Your local mechanic tests the battery with a digital multimeter. The meter reads exactly 10 volts instead of the required 12. He shakes his head and prints a $200 invoice instantly. He throws a heavily sulfated battery directly into the recycling bin. So how does a $2 powder break this exact barrier? Magnesium sulfate is absolutely not a magic trick. It is brutal, uncompromising, and highly verified chemistry. When you dissolve this specific powder in warm distilled water, you create a highly concentrated ionic solution. You pour this solution directly into the suffocating battery cells. The magnesium ions physically interact with the hardened lead sulfate crust. They reduce the internal resistance of the suffocating battery cells. The solid crystals begin to release their grip on the heavy lead plates. The electrical barrier is significantly weakened at the molecular level. The battery internal resistance drops rapidly. The structural ability to hold a charge is chemically restored. This is a mechanical repair of the core electrical system. This chemical reaction happens inside any lead-acid container. Standard car batteries, deep cycle marine batteries, residential solar power banks. It absolutely does not matter what the plastic retail label says. The chemistry remains absolute and entirely predictable, and the chemical catalyst to trigger this reaction costs practically nothing. Why is this powder not sitting on every auto parts counter? Let us look closely at the brutal economic math. A standard auto parts store sells roughly 50 batteries per Dalton Y. When you buy a new battery, they strictly demand your old one. They call it a mandatory core charge. They penalize you exactly $20 if you keep your own property. They tell you it is an environmentally friendly recycling program. While the recycling is real, the financial extraction is brutal. They melt down your heavy lead plates to build brand new batteries. Then they sell those exact same lead plates back to the next driver for $200. This entire billion-dollar industry relies entirely on you surrendering your property. A new car battery costs $200 and lasts 36 months. This magnesium powder costs $2 and extends your battery life significantly. The residential solar industry runs the exact same financial racket. A replacement solar battery bank costs $4,000 and lasts 60 months. This magnesium treatment costs $15 and provides years of extra life. You absolutely cannot build a recurring revenue empire on cheap chemical fixes. If every single driver in America bought a $2 bag of powder, the automotive aftermarket cartel would lose millions in a single month. They survive strictly because you do not know the basic chemistry. You are a financial hostage to their engineered replacement cycle. So how exactly do you starve this rigged system today? Here is the exact protocol to revive your sulfated battery safely. Go immediately to any local pharmacy or basic grocery store. Buy a standard 16-ounce bag of pure Epsom salt. Make absolutely sure the label says 100% magnesium sulfate. Do not buy bath salts containing artificial perfumes or essential oils. Pure magnesium sulfate costs exactly $2 for a large bag. Purchase exactly 1 gallon of pure distilled water. Never use standard tap water under any circumstances whatsoever. Tap water contains microscopic minerals that will destroy the lead plates. Heat exactly 10 ounces of the distilled water to 150 degrees. Mix exactly 10 tablespoons of the magnesium powder into the hot water. Stir the mixture aggressively until the water becomes completely clear. Put on safety glasses and heavy protective rubber gloves. Remove your dead battery from the vehicle engine bay entirely. Place the heavy battery flat on a stable concrete surface. Carefully pry off the plastic caps, covering the 6 internal cells. Use a basic plastic medicine syringe to distribute the warm mixture. Pour exactly 1 ounce of the hot liquid directly into each cell. Do not overfill the specific cells past the plastic factory fill line. Leave the plastic caps completely off the battery casing. Attach a basic 12-volt trickle charger to the external battery terminals. Set the charger machine to a slow and steady 2-amp setting. Leave the battery connected to the power charger for exactly 24 hours. The magnesium solution will aggressively attack the sulfate crust overnight. After exactly 24 hours, disconnect the trickle charger entirely. Press the plastic protective caps firmly back into their original place. Install the heavy battery safely back into your vehicle bay. Turn your ignition key. This is about much more than a simple car battery. This is a glaring symbol of a deeply corrupted corporate system. Every time a massive industry discovers a cheap chemical fix, they deliberately bury it deep in the absolute dark. They replace it with a highly profitable and expensive temporary solution. They train service technicians to mock anyone who suggests an alternative. They want you completely and utterly dependent on their expensive supply chain. Farmers and early mechanics knew exactly how to maintain their heavy equipment. The industry aggressively erased that generational knowledge on absolute purpose. That vicious cycle of corporate extraction ends right here today. You now possess the exact chemical blueprint to break their monopoly. Share this critical knowledge with every single driver you know. Do not let them steal another hard-earned dollar from your family. Take back absolute control of your own personal property. But this is only the very first step. There is another heavily guarded secret you need to see. A $2 salt that charges any dead car battery forever. Absolutely no. Dangerous jumper cables are required. The massive automotive industry prayed you missed this exact method. Click the video on your screen right now to uncover it. Starve the massive corporate system that violently bleeds you dry. The next vault opens soon.